10 years ago, my husband walked in, showed me an article in the Financial Times and said, "You should be like her." I rolled my eyes. I was expecting to see a picture of Katrina Kaif or Kareena Kapoor. But instead, he showed me an article written by Jancis Robinson, one of the world's most famous wine writers. I was intrigued, and I was relieved, as you can imagine. But hey, I knew nothing about wine. I had as much chance of becoming a wine expert as I did of becoming a Bollywood superstar. Plus, I was a director of sales at a Fortune 500 NASDAQ-listed company. Why would I think of quitting a perfectly rewarding corporate career to enter into a world I knew so little about? But I was intrigued. So I started looking around me for inspiration. And all I could find is a few wineries making wines, an early yet a growing interest in consumers about wines, and of course the self-proclaimed wine experts for whom bragging about a few bottles of very expensive wines put them on a pedestal in the Mumbai party scene. So I discussed this with my husband, and he said, this is exactly why you should become a wine expert. In fact, you should become a master of wine like this lady in the FT. It'll earn you credibility, respect, and perhaps fame too. And more importantly, you'll enjoy the opportunity of getting up on stage in front of an audience, demonstrating your wine authority and educating people about wines. And at that very instance, my inner voice said, let's do it. So the next day I quit my job and I booked a flight to Heathrow. At the time, there was no chance of learning about wine in India. So after a year of about some beginners courses at the Wine and Spirits Education Trust in London, in 2008, I enrolled for the 2-year diploma in wines at the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. This is their flagship qualification, and it is essential if you want to gain entry into the Master of Wine program. 2 years later, I passed the diploma with merit. But before that, in 2009, my daughter Rihanna was born. As a mother staying away from home, it was hugely challenging. I was flying all around the world, but there was really no choice because getting access to the kind of varieties and different styles of wines in India was very limited. 2 years later, in 2010, when I passed the diploma with merit, I was starting to feel that despite the expense, the huge amount of travel, and the toll on family life, it was all worth it. So without waiting, I enrolled at the Institute of Masters of Wine, and I was delighted to qualify for the program. This was the first time an Indian had been accepted. I was so euphoric that I forgot that the Master of Wine exams are among the toughest in the world. In fact, more people have been into space than our Masters of Wine, and currently there are only 369 MWs in the whole world. But without a shadow of doubt, it is the top accolade in the wine world, and it is the most prestigious wine title to hold in the world of wines. And now I was on my way to becoming India's first MW. The next few years were hugely challenging and arduous, but after 6 long, arduous years, on September 5th, 2016, I received a call from the executive director at the Institute of Masters of Wine, naming me the world's first Master of Wine from India. Thank you. On hearing the news, I was absolutely speechless. In between tears, I told my family the news, and my daughter, who was now 7 years old, walked over to me and said, "Mama, are you really India's only Master of Wine? Because that makes you 1 in a billion." I think she was proud. And then it was time for champagne. Oh, and by the way, the best way to enjoy champagne is to gently pop open the cork and drink the precious wine. Spilling or spraying wine is actually considered rude. And in any case, why waste what you can taste, right? Even now, the achievements are still sinking in. The exams. The theory exam at the Master of Wine exam involves 5 papers taken over 4 days that test your knowledge like a fine-toothed comb on everything from growing grapes to making wine to packaging it to transporting it, marketing it to selling it. It's not just a test of your knowledge, but also your writing skills. And that's still easy as compared to the tasting exam. The tasting exams involves blind tasting of 36 wines over 3 days. Every day you are poured a flight of 12 wines, all of which invariably look the same. And you are required to identify the country or region of origin, the grape varieties used, production methods, age, quality level, commercial potential, and so on. It's really, really tough. Let me just say, once you pass this, you already start to feel like the master of wine. But apparently, that's not enough to earn the top title. Once you've passed the theory and the practicals, the last stage is to submit a research paper on any wine-related subject of your choice, as long as it is deemed relevant to the global wine industry. So my research topic was understanding awareness, attitudes, and usage of wine among urban Indian wine consumers. And what I found was that we should all be drinking more wine. It's been a whole year of living the life of an MW, and it's been absolutely magical. I find myself at the most wonderful wine events, lecturing on wine courses, judging at international wine competitions, advising hotels, restaurants, and retail on their wine selections. It's absolutely terrific. It's a world of privileges. But being a master of wine is not just a privilege. It's also a responsibility to share your understanding of wine with others. And also to contribute usefully to the global wine industry. So let me share with you some ways that I am doing this. You see, in my world, it is very easy to make wine very complicated and therefore intimidating. I'm sure you've all encountered a wine snob who makes you believe everything you're doing is wrong. Wine snobs believe that the more expensive the wine, the better it tastes. Okay? And it's kind of easy to believe that. It's kind of easy to set into that trap. But you see, being a master of wine is not just about snobbery. It's about believing that the joy of, it's believing that, in fact, the beauty of the wine is in how it tastes, and it's not necessarily in how expensive it is. It's being able to appreciate how well it's made, rather than being prejudiced by its price or its label. Let me give you an example. We recently conducted a blind tasting event for a top leading financial services company and their clients in Mumbai. So we organized 3 red wines that we poured out for the evening at 3 different price points. The first red wine was a super iconic investment grade, super premium wine. The second wine was a mid-priced, artisanal boutique winery wine, but a perfectly great, but a mid-priced wine. The third wine was an inexpensive wine, perfectly delicious and enjoyable in the glass, but an inexpensive value for money offering. We asked the clients to rate the order of the wines in terms of quality without telling them which is which. Guess what? 80% of the guests got the order wrong. So the moral of the story actually is it's best to judge a wine based on how it tastes rather than try to figure out or try to wonder what its price or the label might be or be prejudiced by that. Price alone does not define the quality in the glass. It is best to enjoy what you enjoy drinking and not be embarrassed about it. I'm a founder of a wine club, and we have over 2,000 members. We regularly meet at wine tasting events, and what they enjoy the most is discovering new and exciting styles from not just all around the world, including India. We advise them on what wines they should be drinking based on their budget, preferences, and occasions. And they really enjoy making these discoveries because the world of wine is diverse and it is exciting. May you never drink the same wine twice. I founded a wine academy in 2009 through which we now offer the Wine and Spirits Education certified wine courses. So Indians don't have to travel to London and spend time and money like I did. I'm proud to say that in the consultancy work that I did for a leading hotel chain in India, we created and trained the single largest pool of certified wine professionals than any other hotel chain. And I tell this story to inspire people to learn more about wine and in turn be able to share their knowledge of wine with others. With the knowledge of wine, you can be a number of things. You can be a wine educator, a consultant, a wine marketeer, a wine writer, or even start your own business, be a winetrepreneur like me. And finally, through my industry reports, which is India Wine Insider, I want to help shape the wine industry going forward. My consumer research report was launched earlier this year, and it was greatly lauded by both the Indian as well as the global wine industry. I want to share some of these astonishing findings with you today. Wine is increasingly gaining a lot of cultural acceptance. It is increasingly becoming a mainstream drink and is being widely consumed at both restaurants and at home across a range of occasions. In fact, wine enjoys a very unique selling proposition. Its USP being consumers view wine as healthy, classy, and socially acceptable. The combination of these three factors being so uniquely distinctive to wine, almost unlike any other beverage that you might have tried before. There's another very interesting finding, which is wine and women make a great pairing. The research shows that women are enjoying wine as frequently as men, and are in fact willing to spend more on a bottle of wine than men do. I can tell you guys that's certainly true in my own house. Okay? Women view wine as classy, healthy, and empowering, and they're facing fewer cultural inhibitions when drinking wine in the presence of their family, friends, and the society at large. Now, given that women have traditionally been encouraged to abstain from alcohol, I find this trend hugely encouraging. It is obvious that wine's softer image is making it more appealing to women and allowing them to go out there and experience wine and enjoy it without having to worry about how they're being perceived in the society in general. And in general, research also shows that women in general exercise moderation, health, and balance in their purchasing behavior when it comes to wine. A word on the youth millennials. The young consumers are the groomed lot. They're not far behind. They're also adopting wine into their lifestyle, believing that wine makes them feel proud, classy, and sophisticated, and they are in fact seeking higher choices in their wines. So the future of wine is bright, right? Well, not quite yet, because there's still a lot of work to be done. In terms of per capita consumption, India is drinking only a tablespoon per person in India. This is a bit of something of a joke among wine professionals around the world. So now I have a new dream, which is to convert India from the whiskey-guzzling nation that it is to a kingdom of wines. Because wine is diverse, it is exciting, it is wonderful, and perhaps even healthy when consumed in moderation. And it is certainly elegant to drink. I want to make wine part of wine conversation. I want to make India part of wine conversations all around the globe. But I really need your help in helping me achieve this dream. So make wine enter into your life, give it a chance, and let it enthrall you. I'm going to leave you today with 6 useful beginner's tips on how you can enjoy a glass of wine without having to worry about its price or its label. When choosing your wine, don't worry about whether it is enclosed with a cork or a corkscrew or screw cap. In fact, there's a misnomer that wines under screw caps are inferior to those under corks. This is absolutely not true. In fact, research shows that wines under screw cap may actually be more superior to corks when it comes to certain youthful, everyday drinking wines, the kind of wines that we most often end up drinking. When you pour your glass of wine, fill only about 1/3 of your glass, leaving the rest of the glass and a lot of room for the wine to swirl and to open up into your glass. Thirdly, you can hold the wine glass by the stem or the base, whichever you prefer, whichever is more comfortable, whichever makes you feel more cool. Okay? If the wine is too cold, use the heat from the palm of your hands to cup the bowl, which will quickly warm up the wine. Swirling the wine in your glass, swishing the wine on your palate, helps open up the wine. It helps you taste the full flavors of the wine. Simple wines have simple fruity aromas and flavors, whereas the more complex wines give you a range of flavors that may range from fruity, floral, perfume, wood, spice, earthy, so on and so forth. Conclude on the quality of the wine based on 3 or 4 things. 1, the finish of the wine, which is how long the wine lasts, the flavor lasts on your palate. Also, based on how concentrated the flavors feel or how complex the aromas and flavors are. And finally, overall, how balanced or harmonious it tastes. And one last single tip being, when you try a glass of wine, try and enjoy it with some food and in the company of your friends. Because the best wines are those that we drink in the company of those who make us happy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sonal Holland, Master of Wine, and my job and my mission is to make India love wine. Cheers.